All right. Do you want me to give a couple more minutes or hop right in?
No, I'll give you a quick introduction. That'll give everyone another 60 seconds or so to get here, and then we'll go from there. I know we sent a last-ditch email out about 5 minutes ago, so everyone that registered is hopefully getting the, oh yeah, I signed up for that email and showing up. So glad everyone could be here this morning, this afternoon, depending on where you're calling in from. As you know, I'm Travis Lee, founder and president of 3D Mail Results. And I have with me today one of our new team members named Terry. And Terry is an expert when it comes to making digital and direct mail work. And so we've got a brand new technology that I've kind of hinted about today, or hinted about as you guys got the emails here this week and last week. But it really is kind of bringing direct mail into the 21st century, if you will. And so Terry's going to take over here. He's going to give you a great presentation on what we're calling our lead match program, which is the ability for you to actually know exactly who is going to your website without an opt-in, without a purchase being made. We're able to take those anonymous website visitors, turn them into data, whether that be mailing addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, and even up to 3,000 other data points. So with that, Terry, I think I've milked it long enough. We're going to go ahead and jump right in here at 11:01. The floor is yours, Terry.
All right. Thanks, Travis. And yes, we will be respectful of your time as well. Travis and I had like an ongoing conversation. We're like, let's try to keep it like a half hour, right? We know this is in the middle of everyone's workday, so we will be respectful of your time.
Yeah, so, and we will. I'll interrupt real quick. If you have questions, if you have questions, you can put them into the chat, and then we'll take questions at the end as long as you guys want to go. But the goal is to be 30 to 35 minutes of content for you, and then stick around for questions.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And I'll be sure to stick around and answer any of those questions as well.
Perfect.
All right. So I wanted to start off and talk about multi-channel marketing, right? So I'm sure the vast majority of you are obviously using multiple channels to promote your products or services, right? Whether it's direct mail, radio, TV, some form of digital marketing, paid search, pay-per-click. So when you think about your website, every single visitor that you get to your website does have a cost associated to it, whether it's a pay-per-click campaign and every time someone clicks on your advertisement, there's a cost that goes in, or you're paying some sort of management company to manage your website and run SEO for you on a month-to-month basis, right? So there is a cost associated with every single visitor to your website. Now, when we look in a Google Analytics report, it is going to tell us, how many people visit our website, some of the actions that are being taken by those individuals, but we don't know who these people are. So we actually have a technology, and this is the technology that we're going to be speaking about today, called Lead Match. And Lead Match is a technology that we use to identify the residential address of an anonymous website visitor. The number one question that I get about Lead Match is, well, how are you able to do this? And is it legal? Right? Well, of course it is legal. We are not going to be breaking any privacy restriction laws. And the way that we're able to do this is by using 3 different data points. So the first thing is their IP address, right? Second, device ID. Every single device that you use has basically a unique fingerprint where it has this identifying figure that we can identify that device ID from, right? And this third one is cookies, right? For those that aren't familiar with what a cookie is just a little bit of information, right? So when we make that 10th order on Amazon, we don't have to type in our address. Our address, it auto-populates. That's a cookie. And then with all of that information, we send this through our 300-point algorithm system. And with all of that data, we're able to identify that residential address with about a 95% accuracy rate. So there's 2 things that we actually do with Lead Match. So we can tie Lead Match in and around a direct mail campaign to actually prove attribution by giving you a match rate. So what is a match? Well, if it's tied to a mailing list, we can say, hey, this person from this residential address came to your website. This residential address is also on the mailing list itself, right? So that's going to be a match. The second thing that we're going to be able to share with you is leads. So leads are addresses that we're able to capture that's not on the mailing list. So this is a stat that I really like to share with people, talking about the fact that 90% of interested prospects are going to visit your website. So before they pick up the phone and call or visit any sort of brick and mortar location, chances are those individuals are going to go to the website. And out of that 90% that visit your site, about 96% of them are going to leave without taking any sort of action. So this all kind of ties into lead, right? Because people are, well, why would I want to identify the individuals that are on my website? Well, just because they visited your website, that doesn't mean that they converted. That doesn't mean that they made that purchase or they actually signed up for that product, or I'm sorry, purchased that product or signed up for that service. So to be able to identify those individuals, this gives us the ability to add them to our marketing funnel and continue to follow up with those individuals. So goes into our next point, right? 96% of them are going to leave without taking any sort of action. So now what? Well, in the past, the way that we've been able to follow up with people is digitally, right? They come to our website, then we're able to remarket to them, showing them ads on Facebook, Instagram, the Google Display Network, right? Picking up those cookies, showing them those digital advertisements. Well, with Lead Match, now that we can identify that residential address, this gives us the ability to retarget them through direct mail. So just like we retarget through Google, Facebook, and Instagram, we can now provide you with a list of the most qualified prospects to add to a future direct mail campaign. And just to give you guys a quick stat on direct mail retargeting response rates, the average direct mail retargeting response rate is between 9 and 18%. Because think about it. Normally, when we go to run a direct mail campaign, we have specific demographics, right? We have basically do a customer analysis and come up with a list of individuals that fit that criteria that are most likely to engage with our products or services. Well, with retargeted direct mail, there's no customer analysis. We know who that individual was that was on our website. And this gives us the ability to follow up with them and retarget them with some sort of personalized, enticing offer based upon what they were doing while they were on the website. No one's more qualified to receive a mail piece than an anonymous visitor. So speaking to what I already talked about, right? So if an individual is on your website, you know that that person is interested in that product or service. They typed in that URL. They clicked on that advertisement. It wasn't an accident that they made it to your site. So we want to be able to identify these individuals. Now, one bonus is when you purchase these leads, not only are we going to be able to share that residential address of that anonymous website visitor, but we're going to actually provide you with a detailed lead match report. And within that detailed lead match report, it's going to not only share with you that data, but it's going to tell you exactly what that person was doing while they were on your website. So you're going to be able to see how many times that person visited your website, the top 5 URLs that they visited while they were on the site, and the amount of time that was spent on each page. So basically, this is going to give you a blueprint on exactly how to retarget that individual based upon what they were doing while they were on their website and what products and services that they're actually interested in. So what about B2B? Well, good news is we actually just rolled out a new filtering option for B2B, where you now have the option to select residential and or business addresses. Now, especially in the B2B space, I would actually recommend purchasing both. And here's why. So a lot of times if you mail out to a B2B consumer, that could get lost in translation, right? The receptionist could take it and throw it out, et cetera, right? Plus, if we just identify the business address, we might not know who at that business that we should be targeting. So if we can purchase not only the business address, but also the residential address, this literally gives us a straight line connection right to that decision maker. And chances are that decision maker, that's the individuals that was on your website, right? That's the person that was checking you out to see exactly and to learn more about those product offerings that you guys have while they're on the site. So the statistics. So I'm going to go over some brief statistics with you as far as just marketing overall, as well as lead match. So 81% of consumers want brands to get to know them and understand when to approach them and when not to approach them. So just to give you an example of the value in that detailed lead match report, it's going to give you a pretty good idea of where that individual is in the buying process. So I've had business owners actually say to me that people don't like to be marketed to. Well, that's not true. People don't like to be marketed to about things that they're not interested in, right? So if we can get that lead list, that detailed lead match report, whether they're on the home page, whether they're on some sort of conversion page or an information page, we know exactly where they are in the buying process, and we can tailor and personalize that direct mail piece accordingly. In one study, retargeted direct mail delivered a 14% decrease in abandoned shopping carts and an 8% increase in average order size. So when we set up these lead match only campaigns, we can actually set them up to only track specific URLs, or we can set it up to track site-wide. So just to give you an example of the value in that, we can actually set this up where, hey, we only want to track the shopping cart page, right? And then we only pull the list of addresses from that specific URL, which again allows us to personalize that message and send them out some sort of enticing offer to push them over into that conversion. %60 of marketing respondents said retargeted direct mail increased ROI, which how could it not, right? Because we're actually buying a list of individuals that have already visited our website, already shown a high level of interest. And this goes back to the last slide, right? 68% of marketers who used retargeted direct mail reported an increase in website traffic. So if we're getting a 9 to 18% response rate from that direct mail campaign, as far as that retargeted direct mail campaign, we already know that about 90% of them are going to respond by visiting your website. So it just makes sense that we're going to be able to increase that website traffic and bring in more qualified prospects to the site. This was actually based off of a case study that we did for a resort in Mexico. So this is typically a little bit longer of a buying decision, and it's a very, very competitive market when you're talking about any type of resort stay or any type of vacation that people are planning. So people are always looking for some sort of deal and what's going to be the best option for them. So typically when you're talking about tourism, this is something that someone's going to spend a lot of time investigating, a lot of time shopping. So we were able to actually download all of the residential addresses of anyone that hit that site for this resort in Mexico. And they actually increased their conversion rate by about 20% after implementing direct mail retargeting from those website visitors. So the 4 stages of direct mail retargeting. So we really want to know exactly where this potential customer is in their buying decision. And this really gives us the advantage, right? Because we can actually personalize that message based upon the actions that are taken when they're on their website. So the first one is the awareness stage, right? This is someone that's just browsing around, right? They might have visited a home page, some category level pages, product pages. So we want to make this message, it's going to be relevant, but a little bit more broad, right? We're not going to have a specific personalized direct mail piece with some sort of actual imagery of what they're looking at. We want to keep that messaging a little bit more broad. The consideration page. So this is consistent visits. So when we look in that detailed report, we can see how many times that individual visited the website. And maybe they viewed that same product or same service over and over again. This visitor should receive a mail piece that specifically speaks to exactly what they're exploring with some sort of compelling offer, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be a discount, right? So discounts do work, right? 25% off, 50% off if you order by this specific date. But also if there's some sort of value add that we can throw in there as well. Hey, if you make this purchase or order this product by Friday of next week, we're also going to throw in a little bonus as well. Purchase stage. So this is the abandoning shopping carts, or they were in the process of filling out of some sort of form but didn't complete that conversion. So this visitor should receive a mail piece that specifically speaks to what they were about to purchase with some sort of compelling offer. Here, I always use the example, say you're selling shoes, for example. This would be a very personalized offer that could show specifically that pair of shoes with some sort of call to action that has some sort of expiration date on it as well. Also, the loyalty stage, right? So in most industries, 80% of sales actually come from 20% of their customers. So just because that individual is currently a customer and you already have their data, that doesn't mean that you wouldn't be interested in purchasing this lead, right? Maybe you sell multiple services. This individual usually just, uses this specific service, but you see that they're on your website and they looked at another service, right? So we want to be able to retarget those individuals that are already in our marketing funnel, right? They're already in our CRM, and offer them some sort of loyalty perk, right? Loyalty programs are around because they work. So just like anything, there are rules when we're running these direct mail retargeting campaigns as far as how we're going to get the basic and best ROI from this campaign, right? So just like any marketing campaign, there's steps that need to be followed in order to launch a successful direct mail campaign. Same with direct mail retargeting in order for you to get that maximum return. First one is speed, right? So that individual, they're on your website now. They're interested in you now. So as quickly as we can get that messaging out and get that direct mail piece in their mailbox, in turn, that's going to up the response rate that we actually receive. And we actually have something that will help with the speed of that campaign. When we set up these automated lead match targeted campaigns, we can basically turn it on and forget about it. So we can set these parameters in two different ways. We can set it up where, hey, we want to purchase these leads every day, right? Or we want to automatically download these leads every 3 days or every 7 days or once a month. And what our system will do is automatically purchase these leads. We'll be able to capture that residential address. And this will allow us to get that personalized message out through direct mail as quickly as possible. Make sure that your message is relevant, right? So again, in that detailed lead match report, it's going to show you exactly what actions are being taken by that individual while they were on your website. So this is going to tell you exactly what product or what service that they're interested in and where they are in that buying process. Call to action. So we have to have some sort of call to action. You have to give them a reason to respond to that direct mail piece. So if we're just going to send out some sort of direct mail piece with no incentive, basically you're doing an awareness campaign, right? Which, if that's where you're at in this marketing campaign, just to make people aware that you even exist, great. But with retargeting through direct mail, they're already aware of you, right? We need to have some sort of strong call to action, whether it's some sort of discount, right? Some sort of add-on, and the best messages have some sort of expiration date on them as well, right? So we're going to give you this, but we want you to take action before then. Personalization is key with anything. So in that lead match report, obviously we're going to give you the residential addresses, but we're going to also be able to append that residential address to be able to capture additional data points on those individuals. So when we have a residential address, we can append for things like names, right? Phone numbers, email addresses, income levels. There's a bunch of different data points that we can append off of that. And the response rate that you can get just alone, as far as the increase from putting their name associated with the mail piece, is tenfold over what you'd get from just having a residential address on. So we want to personalize that messaging as much as possible. This is just giving you guys some examples of the micro targeting based on the digital actions that we're taking. So the first one's an abandoned shopping cart, right? It shows a picture of that exact bed that they were looking at, and then it would have some sort of enticing offer on it. So we know where they are in the buying process. If they're just in the browsing and consideration page, right, they didn't actually put that in their shopping cart, we make it a little more general as far as the messaging, right? Greetings from Parachute, home of all things soft and cozy, where come back to bed, right? Just some sort of corny little line, because we know they've already come to their website and put that in that shopping cart. So use an offer that they can't refuse. So this is the great one, right? Try your first Graze box for free. So anytime you can give something away for free, you're going to get a great response rate. So I really like to appeal to both sides of the spectrum. So people typically make decisions based upon two reasons, right? First one is to gain pleasure. The second one is to avoid pain, right? To make that purchase because you're getting something for free at a discount, or gaining something by you guys giving them some sort of add-on, you're gaining pleasure. But also we want to make sure that we have an expiration on that offer. So we can also get those people that want to avoid the pain of actually missing out on that product or service that you're offering at that discounted rate. So we want to appeal to both sides of the spectrum with that offer. Act now, already talked about it, right? It's important that we have that enticing offer, but we also want to give them a reason to respond to that offer now. So I brought up the fact that we can get a 9 to 18% response rate, and this is specifically off of retargeted direct mail campaigns, so mailing to individuals that have already visited your website. And there's a reason that direct mail retargeting does get an amazing response rate. And again, there's no more of a qualified lead list than someone that's already shown interest in the products and service that you're offering, and you as an organization, right? And not to mention, we know exactly where they are in that buying process. And this is going to allow us to personalize that offer as much as possible through that future direct mail campaign. So this is actually a case study. We have several different case studies that we can share with you guys as well. And this is one from a community college. And this is kind of proof of that response rate. They ran a retargeted direct mail campaign on top of a full service campaign that we ran for them. So they basically purchased the leads of anyone that visited specific URLs. So we were only tracking specific URLs for this campaign, which was the new admissions page and the financial aids page. So we already knew that anyone that visited those two pages were going to be relevant to exactly for what their offer was, which was to bring in new students for that fall semester. Another huge bonus to using any of our technologies is we can actually provide you guys with a dashboard. And within that dashboard, you guys are going to be able to see the total number of leads that we're actually capturing each day. And then you can actually go into the dashboard and choose to download these leads. It will send us an alert where we can go in and purchase these leads from you, for you. And then from there, we can also append that data where we can get that name, we can get that address, right? We can get that income level and those additional data points. And this will give us the ability again to retarget those individuals through a direct mail campaign. All right, and I know I was way under on the time. I had 30 minutes and I went to about 25.
No worries there. We did have some questions, and so I'll rattle those off to you here, Terry, and then we'll talk about how you can actually do this. So the first question was, I think you kind of addressed this when you talked about the B2B versus B2C. It's from Josh. He says, we just sell to clinics. So how do we sort out the consumers wanting to purchase versus versus people that are actually with a clinic that can order from us?
So we do have the ability to just purchase that business address
Yeah.
if need be. Yeah. So
And
you have business owners and consumers both going to the website?
so Josh, if you're still on here, go ahead and unmute yourself and jump on in. We'll take your questions live since we got some extra time. And if you're not available, that's okay too. It's my guess is, and I don't know Josh's business. My guess is they've got website, people Google search, and consumers end up on their website when it's really a wholesale distribution type of network deal. So that's my guess.
Yeah. So we can just purchase the business address, which might be more beneficial than purchasing every single lead that comes to your website. But we can also set it up in the beginning where we're only tracking specific URLs on your website. So even if, say, that consumer made it to your website, if it's not an offering that's appealing or relevant to them, chances are they're going to leave. So we could actually set it up where we're only tracking maybe a conversion page or a page that only a business organization would actually visit. And then we could purchase business and residential address and target those business owners and those decision makers directly.
Yeah, and as someone who sells exclusively B2B, having those home addresses is very nice. when you've got a good prospect. It was nice pre-COVID. It's almost required post-COVID because you just don't know who's working from where now. I've gotten to the point now where on almost all of my intake forms, I will tell them, consider using a home address to ensure everything we send gets to you. Just because the number of gatekeepers, and again, post-COVID, you just don't know who's working from home. Maybe they're working 2 days a week. Maybe they're fully remote now. The clutter is less in the mailbox at home.
And also it can be a stretch. It can be difficult even to find out who the decision maker is when you're doing a B2B campaign. Sometimes you just don't even know who the decision maker is.
Yeah, and what this is going to do, especially for you B2B folks that where the sales cycle might be long and you might have some tail to it, or it might be a rather large investment, you're now getting the lead of the company. So now you probably have to do a little, if you want to do that personal reach out now. So now you take off your marketing hat, put on your selling hat, go in now, find out who are the decision makers that would be involved in my product based on going to their website, going to their LinkedIn pages, things like that. And those of you that have a long sales cycle, 5-6 figure transaction size on up, that's kind of par for the course. I mean, you're having to do that anyway. This is going to streamline that. This is going to take, okay, we know someone in ABC business is interested in our thing, whether you have a home address or a business address. So let's see here. Peter, I see some questions about pricing. I'll get to that in just 1 second, I promise. Peter says, can this be used with an API to integrate with my CRM?
We don't have an integration feature currently. Yeah.
Yes. So right now what you'll get, Peter, is a daily, weekly, monthly, on demand, however you want it, one time off spreadsheet.
CSV file.
You'll get this in a CSV file. Then from there you can do whatever you want. So I see Steve question there. Steve, since I got questions about pricing, I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. And then Steve, I promise I will get to your question about addressing and managing and all that kind of good stuff. So bear with me for just a couple more minutes, Steve. All right, so I will pull my screen up here. So the first thing you're going to do is I want to give you your first 100 leads for free. Here's how we're going to do it. You're going to pay a $25 setup fee. So if you know you want to do this, you want the pixel, you want to start tracking this, go to thefutureofdirectmail.com. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat. I should have done that before I went to full screen. So I'm going to get out of full screen here for a second. You always got to jump back and forth with Zoom. I haven't figured out a way to, even with multiple monitors and multiple things going on. So it's thefutureofdirectmail.com. And now I need to get to my chat. And now hopefully this is going to everybody. And we'll click on it just to be sure. There we go. We got it, Terry. All right. So let's go back to here now. So you'll pay at thefutureofdirectmail.com, you'll pay a $25 setup fee. This allows us we've got some man hours to set these up for you, get the code for you, help you out if needed, getting that code to you. We can help you install it to a certain degree. You're going to have to use your hosting team, or you're going to have whoever's managing your site. If you're on WordPress, this is exceedingly easy. So I think most of you are probably on WordPress at this point. It's really, really easy. You download a plugin that says header and footer, and then you paste the code in. I did it for my website. So you pay the $25 setup fee. Once you install that pixel, so there'll be a little back and forth. You're going to send us the website that you want to track. We're going to send you the code. Once that code is installed, we're going to ping you. We're going to say, hey, Mr. Website, are you actually working like you should? As soon as you do that, we're going to double that deposit to $50. And that's how you're going to get your first 100 leads for free. So you're going to have $50 sitting in your pocket here, because as we move forward, I got this in here twice. So the future of direct mail. So I just got this. I swear Stephen wasn't a plant. If you have a high traffic website, so Stephen asked if I get 1,000 visitors per month, how many can I expect to match? So you're going to get what, about 30 to 35 to 50% match? Is that about right, Terry?
Yeah, it can range. The biggest factor that comes into the percentage that we can identify is the demographic of your website traffic, basically. So if you have an older demographic, typically we can track a lot higher percentage, where if it's a younger demographic, they're more likely to use cookie blockers and VPNs, which make it impossible to track. So it's not as if we can identify every single individual, because we would much rather give you information that we know is more accurate than give you more information that's less accurate. So we're not just using an IP address, which would be able to capture even higher percentage. We're also using device ID and the cookies within that device to identify that residential address.
Yeah, so you're going to, on average, about 35%, of which 95% are going to be accurate. And that's our industry norm. That's our industry average. 35% match rate at a 95% success rate. If you send out 100 pieces, you'll get 5 of them back for a bad address. And just so you know, if you were to go out and buy a mailing list, it's hard to get 95%. So this is very, very, this is high value, high integrity data we're getting here. Oh, let me back up. And then on that website, if you get 1,000 or more visitors, if you get high traffic website, you can actually pre-purchase 1,000 leads for 30% off. And that's right there on the futureofdirectmail.com. How does the pricing work going forward? $50 minimum order. So if you want to order these, it's going to be, if you want to order those leads now, it's going to be a $50 minimum order, or 50 cents per record. However, if you've got discounts for purchases over 1,000 records, we'll work with you on a rate that is more feasible for you if you've got a high volume website. We'll also work with you with discounts and waived minimums if you choose an auto delivery format. Auto delivery, Terry, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not, one of two things are going to be happening very likely here. You're probably going to have some high volume websites where you know that I'm going to get X amount of visitors, I'm going to match 35% of those, and you're going to want to move forward. Or you might have just a really high value client base. So if you're selling a $50,000 thingamajig, buying one record might certainly be worth it. So, again, we can do that as well. So if you have one of these higher volume websites, reach out to us, let us know, do the deposit so you double that up, get your first 100 leads for free. But if you've got that higher website traffic, or you do want to set up on auto delivery, let us know and we'll work with you on that for sure. So like I said, the futureofdirectmail.com. So let's see here. Steven says, if I get 1,000 website visitors per month, how can I expect to match? So we did that, about 35%. And then his second comment was, so you're running the matches through NCOA. Terry, they're not being run through NCOA at your level, correct? At the lead match level. However, we'll always run it through NCOA before we mail it for you. So if we're doing the mailings for you, if another mail house is doing the mailings for you, that is just standard operating procedure for us, whether it's a list of 10 or 10,000 or 100,000, we run that list through NCOA. Can we get a list of data points you offer? Terry, do we have that list of data points, those 3,500 demographic data points or so that we have? Is there maybe not an exhaustive list of all 7,500, but
I
do you
can
have a
I
starting
can
point?
Yeah, I mean, I can get you a list of different data points. Normally, what people purchase 99% of the time would be a name, email address, or phone number, but you can get additional data points on those individuals
Yeah,
as
and
well.
they're going to be a lot of the same name, rank, and serial number type of information that you can get from a list broker. So income, home ownership, presence of children, whether they own or rent their home, income, yeah, Steve, and I'd be shocked if we can't get that. Home value, yeah. Credit range, that's a little bit different, and having purchased a lot of lists in the past, credit range might be hard, but I don't know. Terry, have you any experience with that one?
You can with some data providers get a credit range, but it is a lot more difficult. And the percentage of the list, like when you get to some of those other data points down the line, when you talk about income, home value, et cetera, sometimes it gets a little more difficult as far as the percentage of that list that you can get those data points on. So just to give you an example of the top three, like names, you can get 80 to 90% as far as head of household. Emails and phone numbers is normally a lot closer to about 30%.
Cool, that's good. What are the minimums for auto delivery? Josh, get in touch with us and we'll talk about that. It's going to be on a business to business basis based on what we're. Bottom line is, Josh, we're flexible because we know that every business is different. If you're a mortgage broker, you've got a lot different value than a restaurant, and a mortgage broker has a lot different value than a guy selling, high-end IT products, right? Add some zeros behind each of those numbers. So, Josh, reach out to us, Josh, and we want it to work for everybody involved. So just let us know, and we'll figure out something that works for everybody involved. Let's see here. Steve asked, what about business income? So
That
to broaden that out,
difficult.
can we get any business demographic?
That shouldn't be difficult to get as far as the annual income of that business.
Yeah, I would think not. That's usually something that we can get. Let's see here. Chase, can you filter out traffic from specific people who don't pay for all our sales reps and employees around the country? So we don't pay for all of our sales reps. So is there a way, Josh, and you can type it in or jump in and unmute yourself and ask directly if you'd like. It sounds like he's asking, can we exclude and filter so we're not mailing current customers or something like that? Is there a way to filter anything like that?
We can. Yeah, we would have to run a custom query against the current list. We've done that in the past with like bigger organizations that get a ton of website traffic and have returning users or current customer base that are also coming to that same website. And what we do is basically just download all of those leads and run it against that current customer lead. So it would be based off of, what industry you're in, what the goals are, how many current customers or employees that are going to the website, whether or not it would even be worth it to do that. So
yeah,
it's on a case by case basis.
Yeah. So we call that in the list industry, we call that deduping. So we could or suppression. So let's say I'm going to go buy a list of every dentist in the country, and I already have 1,000 dentists as a customer. I upload that list of 1,000, and it removes all of those before I even buy them. Similar process. We take a couple extra steps to do it, but it's going to come down to whether you've got some bigger volume on that. Steven says, if someone visits the website this month and again next month, do I pay for that person twice?
No, it'll only capture it once.
There you go. And do you have the example of do you have an Excel spreadsheet, the example of the data that we pull that they get when they download that? If you don't, not a big deal, Terry. But it's interesting. As a data nerd, I like to see, because you can see their name, their address, all the websites they visited, how long they were on each website. Let's see here. Hal says, if I offer this service to a realtor, would it be whitelisted or would it be able to see who is providing the service when the pixel's placed on their website? Hal, for them to they would see our branding as 3D mail on their dashboard, if that makes sense. And then I don't know, is there like a two-pronged way to maybe do that, Terry? So Hal could do it for his clients and he's still on our dashboard. I think you have a way, but the way it would work, Hal, is they would see our branding on their dashboard, and that'd pretty much be it. They'd have my logo, the 3D Mail logo, but other than that,
If you had a lot of clients that were wanting to use this, we could work some sort of affiliate program where you could have your own dashboard as well.
there you go.
Yeah.
So, Hal, if we get a couple dozen, give me a call.
Yeah.
I know how well. He just crossed the mountains over in Yakima. I see him about once a month. So, any other questions? Anything else you guys got to know? Did you want to pull up that sample data if you have
I
it?
was pulling it up right now.
So you should be able to share if you want to take control. But this is how, I'm a direct mail guy, so data is like at the heart of almost everything we do. And so when you're able to dig in and look, and again, depending on the potential value of your client, this could be a sales tool, this can be a marketing tool, all that kind of stuff. So you could do it give it to your sales team.
So this is are you seeing it now?
Nope. Oh, I got to stop. Sorry. There we go.
Okay. So this gives you an example of what you would be able to see. So this list has not been appended yet, right? So we're only legally allowed to provide one data point, which is that residential address. And then we can send it through a third-party appending service to capture those identifiers like a name, like an email address, like a phone number. So this is a list that has not yet been appended. But what we're going to be able to see is the residential address. We can see a campaign source code as far as what advertisement campaign. So these are individuals that clicked on an ad that we're running for them, right? We can see the URL that they visited, number of visits to that URL, time spent on each page, and then we can see the top 5 URLs that they spent on the page. And if it's someone that just came to the website, say they accidentally clicked on an ad, for example, they just went to one page on the website, that's why those zeros are showing up as far as 0, because the way that it actually tracks the time spent on page is when they go from one page to another. So if they just go to one landing page or one home page and they don't go to another page, it's going to show up as 0, but we do know that that individual actually came to the website. It doesn't mean they spent 0 time on the site.
Yeah, and we can filter by time on site, I believe, correct? We can number of page visits. So you don't have to buy just those looky-loos essentially.
Yeah, we're creating some different filters that are going to be rolled out really, really soon. So as of now, you can filter by location and you can filter by time frame before you make the lead purchase, right? But what we are rolling out is we're going to be able to filter it where I only want to purchase leads that visited a specific URL or leads that spent X amount of time on sites or visited this many pages. And we're also creating an algorithm, right, which is going to give each lead an individual lead score between 1 and 5. So a 5 would be your most qualified lead. This is a lead that visited sites several times, went to a bunch of different pages, spent an extensive amount of time on your website. Whereas a 1 would be someone that came to the one page and left immediately. And you're also going to have the option to filter by that. We only want to purchase the 3s and above, or only the best ones. We only want to purchase the 5s, right? So we are creating some different filtering options that you guys will have at your disposal even before you make these lead purchases.
Yeah, so a couple other questions. Steve, I must have missed your question. So if you don't mind typing those in again, I'm scrolling through. I don't see them, Steve. So if you want to just drop them into the chat again, I apologize. I don't see those there. Josh, we did talk about the B2B space a little bit, but the bottom line is, yes, we can identify business or residential addresses. So we talked to, of course, you had to hop off as soon as we touched on that topic, and then you hop back on. So that's it in a nutshell. Yeah, we can ID business versus residential addresses. Are the email addresses and phone numbers additional to the 50-cent lead cost? Yes, they are. That would be an append cost. And it just depends on the size of your list. So, Stephen, reach out to me and we can get you some pricing based on some ideas that we have on that. But that would be additional. Any other questions? Anybody want in? Let's see here. We'll maybe let Steve. Let's see here. All right. Steve, I'm going to scroll through again and see if I see your question. And if not, Steve, I'm almost certain you have my email address, Travis@3dmailresults.com, if you get those questions and I don't see them. Let's see here.
Can I just jump in?
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
Well, let me go. I'll scroll up. Could this be done? One of them was, could this be done with any URL address? Even like following up on a landing page where all you get is an email address, because people respond. I do some training and have people go to maybe a landing page or something for some information. It'd be nice to be able to track, okay, not just because I'll deal with sales organizations where, they have a corporate address, but they've got people dispersed all over the country. And it would be nice to be able to, and they're not necessarily willing to provide that, but.
Yep. So
okay.
we can, as long as you can add that pixel, we can add that, we can track any website. So
Okay.
let's say you had website.com. We can place, if you place the pixel on the header of that website, you will track website.com all over, site-wide, no matter how many slashes or pages deep they go. If you've got a page 6 pages deep and you want just that URL, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here, Terry, correct? If you just want a specific URL buried deep on your page somewhere, we can track it, correct, Terry?
That's correct. Yeah, we would just set it up. You just let us know in the forefront, hey, this is the primary website. This is the page or pages that we want to track. Like, just to give an example. So like, we'll run direct mail campaigns for people in higher education, right? Universities that might be running direct mail campaigns to reach out for new enrollments. Well, their current student body, as well as the teachers, actually go to that site as well. So the way that we set it up is we're only tracking the new admissions page, right? And we're only tracking the financial aids page, because those are leads that are actually relevant to that campaign. So we can set it up to track site-wide and leave off a couple pages, or only track one specific URL.
I had one more too.
Yeah.
One of the things is, and this was the first question, because sometimes you can have some folks that maybe in my age group that say, this is a little creepy that you found out my address. So I said this, and my question was, I sense it might need to be managed tactfully, or we might get, are you stalking me? How'd you get my home address? Do you, is that something that you try to unplug that feeling? Because I just sense all of a sudden I get something. I know my wife will, she'll be talking, and next thing she knows, she goes on Google and all of a sudden ads are showing up based on what our conversation was. I mean, it's getting a little, and I don't know, maybe I'm up in Maine here. We're a little bit, maybe a little more suspicious. I don't know.
Terry, do you want that one? I know that's a question you get almost every day.
Okay.
Yeah, well, like I said in the beginning, people don't mind being marketed to if it's something that's actually relevant to them and they're actually interested in. And especially with like what you just talked about, like your device, they are listening to you, right? They're not listening to you in the manner that they're recording your conversation, but on these apps that you download, they're listening for specific buzzwords is basically what they call it. And when your device hears those specific buzzwords, it's going to serve you up advertisements based around it. So I think the fact that we're sending something out that's in the mail, it's actually a lot less intrusive than a lot of forms of digital marketing and retargeting can be.
Yeah, so I think it goes with any kind of marketing, Steve, in that if you do any amount of marketing for any amount of time, you're going to get people that think this is creepy, they don't like it, well, that's just the world we live in now. Privacy is 100% dead. The minute you create an online presence, the minute you do anything in life now, Big Brother's tracking it. And that's just the reality, right? From the minute you're born till you go down in the grave, they're going to know things about you. And that's just the direction we're going. And if that's uncomfortable for you, then you shouldn't do it. But if it's not, just know that, these little devices, they're all, to your point, I say something about a restaurant and all of a sudden I got restaurants showing up on my newsfeed, and I haven't visited any of them. I don't know anything about them, but hey, come get a steak dinner is all of a sudden
it's not a coincidence.
No, it's not. Absolutely, it's not. So cool. So again, the future of directmail.com. That'll unlock that ability for us to create a pixel for you. We'll then double your first purchase to $50. So you'll get your first 100 leads free. And we'll go from there. Oh, one more came in. I have two businesses, roofing and remodeling, online training courses on coaching clients, how to go from where they are to where they go. Would this approach works for either or both? Yeah, I mean, it would work for, as long as you would want to know who your prospects are, it would work for any business. So you have a roofing and remodeling business and they don't opt in, they don't take an action. And now you can collect those names over the course of a day, a week, a month, however long it is, and then send them a direct mail piece with an offer. I can't think of a more targeted mailing list than that. And then the same approach for your coaching program. Now you've got other roofing and remodeling coaches coming, or roofing and remodeling companies coming to your coaching website, and they don't opt in. Now a direct mail piece goes out, offering them a lead magnet of some kind. Hey, let's say you've got a free course online. They didn't log in, they didn't take advantage of it. You send out a direct mail piece that says, unlock your free course, millions of dollars in roofing and remodeling company, go to this website to get it. I can't think of a better mailing list than your unconverted leads from a website.
What's really funny is like a lot of times when I talk about lead match, I actually use like exterior products as an example. Like if you offer window siding and roofing, now you can see exactly what products and service that they're interested in.
Yep.
And send out some sort of personalized, 15% off a new roof, or this off on windows, or whatever that call to action is.
Yeah, and it's, I think it's an easy one to digest because we all get it, most of us that owns homes. But you also got a good mix of, you've got a good client value, and you probably have some traffic. So you kind of got to, you're not the $100,000 IT company that gets 6 visitors a month, and you're not another business that gets 10,000 visitors a month, but you sell a $50 thing. You've kind of got the best of both worlds if you're generating traffic, because you've got high value, you've got some money to spend to convert them, and hopefully you got some web traffic as well.
And you don't look at those services unless you're truly interested in. You don't make your way on a roofing and windows or remodeling site on accident.
Yeah, for sure.
Great, thanks. That's helpful.
Awesome. Thanks, JD. All right, the future of directmail.com. Let's see if I can put that in there one more time without screwing everything up. The future of directmail.com. That'll unlock that pixel. We'll get that to you. You'll get your first 100 leads for free. If you have a high volume website and you want to pre-purchase those 1,000 leads at $350, that's at least a 30% savings. Let us know. Anything you want to add, Terry? Any other final questions?
Nope. And we have a lot more coming down the pipeline as far as technologies that we're going to be integrating. So I'm excited to be able to share those with you in the future.
Yeah,
as well.
this is just the tip. So those of you that don't know, so I've kind of leaked this out. This is the tip of the iceberg for us. We are bringing on a digital arm so that you can do this kind of stuff and a whole lot more with your direct mail. You'll be able to serve ads online to your people out that get your direct mail. So you got a list of customers or a list of prospects, they'll get a direct mail piece and they'll get those ads online at the same time. So this just tipped the iceberg. So I just wanted to give this to you guys. The future of directmail.com. Anything else? Going once? Going twice? Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, reach out to my team. Most of you should know how to get a hold of us, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks so much, Terry.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.